Hello, glowers. Okay, so I'm back with another video, and why so soon? Well, I wanted to weigh in on this Ari Lennox situation. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Jordan, my homeboy from here in Miami. I was about to say Philly, y'all. Ooh, Freudian slip. Um, who put me onto Ari actually just about a month ago. We were sitting down at Starbucks and we were talking about the music scene and how I was saying I was really kind of unmotivated about supporting anything coming out, melanin wise. I'm really feeling, like I said, Maggie Rogers. I'm back in my body 2020. Thank you, Maggie. So I hadn't really felt that I haven't really felt that same draw that I had to melanated music like I had, I'm not even thinking in my 20s or in my college years, because my college years were the best, don't get me wrong. That was Lauryn Hill, that was Fugees, that was The Roots, that was everything. And of course, with being surrounded by the culture of Philadelphia, you cannot get away from the eclectic musical just culture scene. But in my years being a mom, I find myself pulling away from a lot of music that I just used to love, and not just being a mom, but also being on this walk with Christ, because, I want to put on things that I can enjoy and I can sing with my kids. And the other side of the music game, when it's a melanin situation, is not going to be, I don't want it to always be baby making songs, so to speak. So I was having a hard time kind of finding a nice, pleasant, even kill type of music, and he put me onto Ari. So thank you again, Jordan, for putting me onto Ari about a month ago. So let me get right into it. Conflicted definitely describes. So as you guys know, I've been single and celibate for a while, and it's just amazing how all of this is just really touching me and reaching me, no pun intended, during this leg of my singleness, or in this season of my singleness. And the reason why I say in this particular season, because I want to say, I'm not even kidding you guys, the first 3 years of being single and celibate, it just kind of went, it flew. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I would have Sun dates with God. I would take my Bible out. I had at the time, a 3-bedroom, beautiful home, big home with a big, just amazing back patio. And every Sunday for almost a year, I would make shrimp, I would make salmon and a big kale salad in my Grovade. And I would sit out on that patio and I'd get out my Bible and I'd just be in my word and my prayer book, and it was phenomenal. And so, I never really felt being single like I did this year. I do think it has a lot to do with my age. I am 1 year after 40, so I'm kind of feeling it a little bit more, that I'm officially in my 40s, like officially. And I'm in the time where I wanted to be remarried. I wanted to be, pregnant with my last, children. I want twins. So my last set of children at this point. And, just really comfortable in my femininity and my purpose, still being working with my community, in my community, and all that good stuff. And so I really have always thought of myself as an asset woman. I was married at 19. So let me give you guys a little bit of background on that story. So yeah, I am looking forward to being a Mrs. Next instead of a Ms. X right now, or a Mrs. X right now. And don't be trying to steal that VH1 or anybody else, because I'm copywriting that. But I was married at 19 and just was always very, even though my ex-husband wasn't, my ex-husband is a black man. And even though he was not like for the whole, hey, you can sit at home and have babies and I'll go to work. And he was a lawyer. Of course, he wasn't when we got married. He was a student just like me, but he was, a couple of years older. Um, So, but he wasn't for it, but I was. I was like, oh, I'm married. I'm not going to be worried about getting no job. And he was just like, we don't have that type of life, Courtney. And I was like, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We got that type of life. I don't know what you're talking about, but we got that type of life. Um, so that kind of went on for the duration of our marriage. We were together 15 years, married for 13. But, I would get these jobs, and I'm telling you, he just got used to me quitting them, that he would literally tell me sometimes before going to work, he'd be like, Courtney, if you're gonna quit today, quit between 1 and 2:30, because that way I'll have time to pick you up. We'll go get lunch, and then I have to go back to campus because he was in law school. And so it was just kind of like a running joke with us until I got in the entertainment industry. So I got in the entertainment industry as a publicist, and I loved what I did. I loved what I did. It was so fast. It was just, and we didn't have children, but it was just so fast paced. And for the first time in my life, I was literally being wined and dined. My ex husband and I met in college, so we were both struggling students, and even though he was in college, we were at FAM, and his dad was a professor at FSU, and his mom was, she would do substitute teaching and things like that. Like, she was doing things, but he had his family there. I didn't have my family there. My family was, in Daytona. But oh, sorry, Spirit is speaking. Hello, Mom. So, and then Nikki, Ashe. So I kind of always felt that. I always felt like this was, what I was going to be. This is what I was going to be doing, and I feel comfortable doing this. It didn't make a lot of money. We used to get 10% of every every engagement that was booked. So, and I was very selective. I was not, dealing with a lot of artists. If I didn't want to see an artist, I didn't book an artist. So that was not so well received by my then boss, but yeah, I was able to coordinate enough relationships with other acts that I did like, that there was a steady flow. At any rate, unfortunately, I also started, seeing some people that I was in the industry with. Some were celebrities, some were local celebrities, some were co-workers. But I did start seeing them. I would go out on dates, not all of the time did it end up sexual, but it definitely they weren't innocent interactions, so to speak. So it really made me think about Ari. Or this Ari's situation really made me think about my time in the industry. There were times, and I'm not going to call any names, and I've written a book about it if you guys ever want to see it, but there were just times where I would meet certain artists, and when I say I didn't book who I didn't like, there would be times where I would meet certain artists, and certain artists that were really heavily well liked by the African American female community, but I would meet them and they had wanted nothing to do with me once they found out what I looked like. And now at the time, guys, mind you, I may have been about this size, maybe a little smaller, but I used to wear a lot of weave. I used to wear a lot of makeup, and I used to, have contacts in my eyes. So on the phone, I'm telling you, these guys would eat it up, management, what have you. But once they would meet me, there were only a couple of acts that they, you know, they were still like, hey, what's up? Oh, you're Courtney, da da da. Da. But for the most part, no, it would really go south when they would meet me. And I didn't talk to tell people about this when I was in the industry, because it does a lot on your self-esteem. It really does. It takes a toll. And I don't care how strong you think you are, it really does take a toll, because I would just see them really catering and turning on this like light for women that were not working as hard as I was to get them dates, that were not savvy. For example, I used to run a dance camp, like a dance program, a dance company, so to speak. And there were two girls, and they were gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, just kind of aloof and just really ditzy and really kind of silly. And they were some of my top dancers, and this was a real dance company. This is not like we were strippers or anything. It was a dance company. And so I remember one night, it was actually when Nas, he was performing at a club. It was a club then called Club Flow. And he was supposed to be doing a release party for Godson, which was one of my favorite Nas. Another story. It's another story. Used to love Nas. Once I met him and I saw that energy was not reciprocated, you couldn't get me to buy another a Nas album. I talk about him because he still is talented, but I don't rock Nas like how I used to. Like everything, I used to love, love, love Nas, and anybody that knows me, they can vouch. But once I met him and his energy he wasn't interested. If you're not interested in me, I'm not interested in you, and that's just the way I've been. So I've been a part of creating my own cancel culture for years. But anyway, at this event, there was the promoter who I had been, trying to coordinate with and da 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 da. And he had been kind of giving me the runaround a bit and said that he was kind of, too busy to sit down and talk with me and blah blah blah. And I was taking all the excuses, but I ended up, because it was me, I was very creative, very resourceful. I ended up still being VIP at the event. I knew someone else who worked the club. It might have been a bouncer or something at the time. And so I still made it into the event. And when he walked in, his eyes like bugged out of his head. Not Nas, but the promoter. And his eyes bugged out of his head, like, what am I doing here type stuff, like, because he knows that he was giving me the runaround, not inviting me. So that's cool. That's peace. But guess what? On his arm were one of the sisters that I taught dance for. And I was just like, how you couldn't find the time to give me, but you found the time to give, this chick who is beautiful, who I know, because I've seen them. Like they didn't run stuff down, they weren't doing that. They didn't like Nas. I remember because I choreographed a routine to one mic, and they were just like, why are we doing that song? Like they didn't like him. They thought he was kind of corny. They liked Jay-Z. So yeah, it just really, the way our eyes met, it really dawned on me. And y'all, I'm very, very sensitive. I've been told several times, I need to not put my heart on my sleeve. So I'm very sensitive, but I read emotions very well. I'm very good at that. And I read facial very well. And I'm telling you, the look was like, what are you doing here? Like, you're not the caliber of women that should be here. And this was prior to me ever meeting Nas. So I was just like, well, whatever. I'm in here, da 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 da. So I'm giving like I give it, I'm giving it like I got it. I speak to, at the time, my student. And she was a grown woman, don't get me wrong. But it was the dance company. So she was an older, female, or not older, but she was in like her mid-20s, or early 20s. I was in my mid-20s. She was in her early 20s. And I spoke to him as well. And, we had kind of like a little side conversation. He was just like, oh, yeah, I, meant to get back to you, da, 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay, da, da, da. Because he knew how much I like Nas. Like, we had several conversations, and he knew I really wanted to be a part of this. But my time is waning. But it really does have an effect. And even though these issues happened 20 years ago, the fact of the matter is that it still sticks with me. So I don't want us to immediately go to Ari and say, oh, don't worry about them, da 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 da, because it does have